Welcome back to the corrections for your math test, Module 5. I'm on number 11. The previous 10 are on the first video. So, Juliet wants to know if the chicken broth in the beaker will fit into the rectangular food storage container. Explain how you would figure it out without pouring it into the container, or without pouring the contents into this container. If it will fit, approximately how much more broth could the storage container hold? If it would not fit, approximately how much broth would be left over? Well, first of all, you need to look at this. It looks like there's two lines, but we're actually looking at this line right here because this is the front part of the circle. And we notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. If 5 lines, 2, 3, 4, 5, if that makes it 2 liters, and this was a number line, which we learned number lines, and this was a 0 down here. So it takes 5 hops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to 2 liters. So I'm not counting by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 doesn't get to 2. What am I counting by? So I'm gonna go by milliliters. Okay. So if it takes 5 hops, 1, 2, 1, 2, we're guessing, what would you be counting by? You are obviously counting by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say that you're going with 200 milliliters. This one would be 400 milliliters. 600 milliliters, 800 milliliters, 1 liter. Well, it's not counting by twos. So now you have to go back and see what else it could be counting by. Okay. So again, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hops, and it goes to 2 liters. What could you count by that would be bigger than that? If we counted by 500, 500, 1,000, 500, 2,000. Nope, it's smaller than 500. 400, 800. So if we count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Well, that would work. So if this one was 400, this was 800, this was 1,200 or 1,200. This was 1,600 or 1,000, and then this would be 2,000 milliliters. So we just changed the 2 liters into 2,000 milliliters. So each of these lines is worth 400 milliliters. So we go past the 2 liter line plus one more line. So we have 2,000 milliliters plus one more line right here, that one right there, which means we're getting another 400 milliliters. So this whole beaker right here, because it ends right there, is only 2,400 milliliters, or 2 full liters plus 400 milliliters. Now, we know that if this was ice and we froze it like ice cubes, we could put the ice cubes in here. Let's see what the volume of this is. You would find the volume of this. So you would do volume equals length times width times height. So 20 times 6 times 15. 20 times 6 times 15. 20 times 6, or 2 times 6 would be 12. So 20 times 6 would be 120 times 15. So 120 times 15, you probably don't have memorized, nor should you. That'd be 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. This is your placeholder. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 0, 0, 8. 1. So the volume of this can hold 1,800 milliliters, not liters, milliliters. So it can hold 1,800 milliliters. Well, we know that this beaker is holding 2,400 milliliters of this liquid. So will it all fit? If I try to pour 2,400 in here, would it fit? No, it would obviously overflow. So if it's going to overflow, so if I went to try to pour this in here, it would puddle. And the question is, how much of it would puddle? How much would overflow? Well, I have to take this and subtract this from it, because I always subtract my bigger number from my smaller number from my bigger number. So I'd take 2,400, subtract 1,800. I'd have to regroup, or borrow, as some of you call it. 8 minus 14, 14 minus 8 would be 6, 1 minus 1. So this puddle right here, there'd be 600 milliliters overflow. And the way you can solve this is if you find out how much the rectangular prism can hold, and you find out how much is in the beaker. If the beaker is more than this, it's going to overflow. If the beaker is less than this, then there's going to be more room, and you can solve to fill it up. But the answer to this, how much broth will be left over, or if it does not fit, approximately how much broth will be left over? About 600 milliliters will be left over. All right, that one took a little bit of a while to solve. This one, we're going to find that the area, or excuse me, the volume of the two sections. So we've got A and B. So A, we have 12 by 30, so length times width times height. So volume A equals length times width times height. So box A, volume equals length times width times height. So it's 12 times 30 times 6. Okay. So 12 times 30. That'd be 0, 0. 3 times 2, placeholder, would be 6. 3 times 1 would be 3. So it's 360. So this 12 times 30 is 360 times 6. So up top, 360 times 6 be 0, 36, carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18, 21. So this would become 2,160 feet cubed. So 2,160 feet cubed is box A. Box B has a little bit easier numbers to work with. The volume is still going to be length times width times height. The length is 8, the width is 8, and the height is 6. So length is 8, width is 8, and then the height is 6. 8 times 8 is 64, which I should know. And then 64 times 6. So 64 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 2 is 38. So this would become 384 feet cubed. So 384 feet cubed. So what's this plus this? So we're going to take our 2,160 and our 384. We're going to add them. 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. 2. So it'd be 2,544 feet cubed. So you could have written it with the comma or without the comma. Both of those were accepted. So again, it would be 2,544 feet cubed. And they already had the feet cubed here, so all you had to do is type in just the digits, and you would have gotten it correct. And Miss Saw and I will be going through to make sure that you didn't miss it because of a comma or anything else. All right, what's the volume of this regular fish tank? Well, volume equals length times width times height. Length is 45. Whoops. Length is 45. Width is 10. And then height is 20. So 45 times 10, we know that from our place value charts that all you have to do is move that over. So that'd be 450. 450 times 20, Mr. Habecker will do this mental math. 45 times 2, or 450 times 20. 45 times 2 is actually 90. Okay, so some of you guys can do that, or if you're multiplying it over here, 0 times 0 is 0, 0, 0. Now you're going to do your placeholder. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So you get 9,000. Here, 45 times 2 is 90, plus this 0 and this 0. So Mr. Habecker showed you guys the short way of doing that, or you can just multiply it out and get it correct every time. Now, it's 9,000 centimeters, and it's volume, so it has to be cubed. So you should have written it 9,000 centimeters cubed, with or without the comma. But we have all these different ways that we would accept it. So we will go through and make sure that you have it correct. That's number 13. Number 14. Again, these fish tanks. I told you there are a lot of fish tank problems. From the previous problem as shown, so here's the same fish tank. And so we know from the previous problem, we know that this fish tank is actually 9,000 centimeters cubed. So we know that it's that big. We don't have to solve it again. Okay, and it says, is completely filled with water, and then 900 cubic centimeters are poured out. What is the new volume of the water in the tank? So if we had this much water in the tank, and then we pour it out. That means we're taking it out or taking it away. So we're going to subtract 900 because it says 900 cubic centimeters are poured out. 0, 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 9 you cannot do, so you have to regroup or borrow. 10 minus 9 is 1. 8 minus nothing is 8. So it's going to be 8,100 cubic centimeters. So most of you probably wrote it like this. We would accept all these answers. And again, Miss Saul and I will go through and make sure that you guys have the correct answers. And it wasn't a comma or something that messed up your answer. And then the last problem. Now that you have poured out some of the water and there is less water in the tank, what is the new height of the water? Well, you're trying to figure out this right here. This is the same tank as here, same problem. You've poured some water out. So some of you would say, oh, we can just figure out what 900 is if we take the bottom and then figure it out to 900. Or you can solve it this way. If you know the new volume is 8,100, you can do 8,100 equals the length, which is 45, and the width, which is 10, and the height, which you do not know. We know 45 times 10 is 450 times the height equals 8,100. Now, if I had 8 equals 4 times h, you would know the h is 2 because 4 times 2 equals 8, or 8 divided by 4 equals 2. So we're going to just do that same thing here. We're going to do 8,100 divided by 450 will equal our h. So if we take 8,100, we divide it by 450. I got to do it this way. Well, 450, I don't have my 450s memorized, so 450 times 5, 25, 22, that'd be 2,500. That's a little bit high. So if I want to do 450, if I double it, 450 goes into 8 0 times. 450 goes into 81 0 times. 450 can go into 810, but 450 times 2 would be too big. So 450 times 2 would be 900. So this is going to be just times 1. So it's going to be 450. So I'm going to subtract. That's going to be 0. 1 minus 5 I can't do, so the 8 is going to become a 7. The 1's going to become an 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 7 minus 4 is 3. So now it's 360, which is smaller than 450, so I know I'm correct. And then I'm going to drop this 0 down. Okay, this is not quite big enough. This is 2,250. So we want to get to 3,600. So if that's a 5, I'm going to try 7 now. 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3. 7 times 4 is 28. 29, 30, 31. We are getting close. So I'm going to guess it's 450 times 8. 0, 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Plus 4 is 36. There we go. So it's going to be 8. So 18 is our answer. That means this height right here is 18. Well, over here, the height was 20. Now it's 18. So that means this little part right here must be 2, because if I do 20 minus 18, I'm going to get 2. Okay, this has turned into a longer video. Some of you guys might have also taken the base face. There's another way to solve this. 45 times 10. So if you have volume equals 45 times 10, because volume equals length. Volume equals the length. Actually, let me do it up here, sorry. Another way you could have done it right here is if you knew 45 times 10, so volume equals the length times width times height. If you know 45 times 10 times the height, 45 times 10 is 450, and you're trying to figure out how to get to 900, because you know that this area up here that I'm going to color in red is the empty space, and you know that the empty space equals 900 because they told you that in this problem. So you would have 900 equals 450 times the height. We got the 450 because we did 45 times 10. Well, we figured that out down here. 45 times 2 equals 900, or 900 divided by 450 would be 2, so the height would equal 2. So there's 2 different ways you can go about solving this. And the question is, what is the height? If you figured out this was 2, that's the empty space. So you'd have to take 2 and subtract it from the 20. So either way you solved it, you're still going to come out with 18 centimeters, because they want to know what the new height is. They don't want to know what the volume is. They don't want to know anything else. They just want to know the height. All right, guys, If you have any more questions on math, just email your teacher and we will go more in depth with you on it. Thanks. Bye.